We, in our market, when I talk to my real estate agents, I know a lot of them, they like to give out that list of 3 inspectors. And I often ask why, and it seems like almost a canned answer. Like you see in you see in a home inspection report that it's to limit liability and it's because a lawyer told them to. And I've retorted and said, do you know anyone that's personally been sued because they didn't give that list? And I don't know anyone that has, or have met someone that has. I'm sure there's somebody out there that has, but I just don't see it in mass that there's this, it seems like almost fear-mongering for doing this. And I can't imagine as a client why you wouldn't know who the best person is in your market to provide this service to you. Why wouldn't you want your clients to have that? And let me cut my liability in the process if I'm the real estate agent.
Well, you're kind of answering the question. And let me tell you, I know a real estate agent who was sued for negligent referral of a home inspection company. And it's a home inspection company that's pretty near and dear to me. They've done somewhere between $250,000 and 300,000 home inspections. And they're my parents, Phil and Patty Thornberry. And one of their agents here locally was involved in a deal and later got sued over home inspection issues. Now, he was named, the home inspection companies, everybody was named, and it just becomes this, negligent referral thing. It's the only one I'm familiar with in their, $250,000+ home inspection. So we're talking about tiny little needle in a haystack. But here's the other thing. This is very interesting, and having attorneys on staff, we have 3 of the most qualified legal professionals in real estate history on staff here. Alex Vollmer, our general counsel, has done nothing but risk management, home warranty, and home inspection for her professional career here, in a company that's involved in about 20% of real estate transactions throughout North America. That's, there's nothing more credible than that. We have Mark Cohen, former Internachi general counsel. When these attorneys who have access to not just hypothetical fear-mongering, but real Westlaw, LexisNexis, access to court records, and filings and that sort of thing. And we look and we can't find, including in that scenario where this one agent who had done hundreds of transactions with my parents' company, and out of $250,000 has this one issue. Even in that case, never once did it come up in the proceedings of, well, did you offer the best inspection company you knew, as well as one that sucked and one that sucked even more? Because, by the way, if you did that, you'd not have liability. It's just so absurd. It's never actually been a defense. So we don't know if it would even work. And I think it comes from, some of the federal laws regarding mortgages and steering. We have agents who know those laws, that know they can't steer financial transactions. So, then it kind of gets extrapolated into other things. There's no need to offer 3 warranty companies or 3 home inspectors. It's absurd. The only good reason that I've ever heard from an agent for offering 3 home inspectors is, I only have one-man inspection shops in my market. One of them's always on vacation or booked out. I need the accessibility to my clients, and there's a very real need to get that inspection done within the contingency period. But when we look across the country at 5,000 home inspection companies with call centers, offices, multiple inspectors or referral networks available to them, etc., where they can actually fulfill those needs, there's just simply no reason. In fact, you're increasing your liability when you put down a referral list of inspectors that aren't as qualified as the number one guy. So if you do it, fine, okay, I get it. You're really just kind of covering your own ass rather than doing what's best for the client. And what are we here to do? But if you do it, at least put some emphasis on that number one on the list and say, Stephen with Champions, they have $25,000 worth of warranty coverage free with every single home inspection. There's a couple other people on this list because I respect your choice, or sometimes they can get busy, but they don't have that. And you want to make sure that you're covered and protected. So call and ask your questions, but make sure that that I like Stephen, and whenever he is involved in a transaction, it seems to go well. He finds the things that are there. He doesn't find the things that aren't there. And his way of reporting is very credible. It helps us get through that inspection response. Those are good things for an agent to say. To say, here's a list for me to cover my ass is ludicrous. And I would say to an agent one other thing, and then, we'll leave this alone. But if you're a real estate agent and you say, gosh, there's some real liability in offering an inspector that sucks, so I'm going to offer one that doesn't and two that do. Like, it's such nonsense. But if you really think that negligent referral is, such a high liability kind of thing, which statistically it's not, just make sure to tell every single one of your clients you work with, every buyer, every seller. You go to the closing table, you get done, everybody's signed off, and you're telling them, hey, if you know anybody that needs to buy or sell a house, family members, friends, etc., tell them how great I did for you. Here's a few cards, or I'll send you an email, connect me with people. Make sure to tell your clients to not only recommend you, but recommend 2 other real estate professionals so that your client doesn't have any liability in referring you. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
I thought about it from that particular angle, is when they refer us and they give out the list. Why aren't they giving out a list for mortgage folks and other people that are involved, contractors and such?
Well, they do on the mortgage. We're talking about steering laws there. We have federal finance laws there. That's kind of a different thing. Now, some of the real estate offices have associations, affiliations, even ownership in mortgage brokers and or banks. That doesn't mean that they don't have a form that the client signs that says, hey, this is not a requirement to use this. There's a lot of federal guidelines that they're going by with that. There are no federal guidelines on the home inspection side. And there's no state laws on the inspection side. It's this simple. If you know what is going to best serve a client and you willfully refuse to do it over potential liability that is like $1.25 million, you probably need to be looking at another career. That's what I think. Because I want my real estate agent to have my interest, first. And real estate agents are very trusted. Let's not violate that trust over especially something that's fiction.
It kind of leads me to the next one about doing things that are above what the actual standards of practice is. Because you're steering people towards certain people. I'm like, if you want the best, why aren't we doing the best that we can for our clients when we talk about what the state standards of practice is and why we do what we do when we're on our inspections? I give you a perfect example is I didn't realize a unique selling point was that I was checking all accessible receptacles when I did my inspections.
Well, it shouldn't be that unique, right?
I didn't realize it was unique that I was checking all accessible windows.
I think we need to set this thing up. Let's tee up this issue. All right. So a few weeks ago, we launched what we call the Advanced Standards of Practice, and it's advanced beyond what the standards of practice is out there for licensed states like Indiana. It's far beyond the SOP for associations like InterNACHI and ASHI. And here's the reality. From a marketing perspective, consumers and agents don't know ASHI, they don't know InterNACHI, they don't know state license laws even. I mean, really they're pretty aloof to all of this. They know that they have an inspection company and it's legitimate and whatever, and they look for the circular logos. Now, what inspectors do with those logos is they generally put in their inspection agreement, we're going to do an inspection for you to this standard. They'll reference that standard and then say we're also responsible only to the fee paid for the inspection. And most people, most home buyers don't read that. I don't know that every agent's really aware of what's really happening there or how little value that really delivers to the transaction. If they did, candidly, if they read every line of those SOPs, I'm not sure how many people would get home inspections. But we came out with this other SOP where we say, hey, you're going to do everything that's on that SOP plus a little bit extra. Things like checking every accessible receptacle, which you were already doing, checking every accessible window, which you were also already doing. And there's probably thousands upon thousands of inspectors that are doing that every day, but they have an agreement that says that they're not responsible to do it. And, to me, that's a pretty interesting statement. We live and die by our contracts. If we have a contract that says we cover something, we cover it, period, end of story. We've never not covered something that was covered. We have covered occasionally things that aren't covered, and every once in a while somebody messes up and we have to make up for it. But that just happens when you have a couple hundred people dealing with clients. At the end of the day, though, we have this policy, and it says we're going to do what we're going to do. If you're already doing it, why not do it? And very famously, let's be honest. There was a Facebook post. Oh my gosh, there's a new SOP.
Yes.
And a guy, a single inspector operation out of Jacksonville, Florida, William Chandler, goes online and says, "Oh my gosh, Nathan Thornberry is insulting the associations, and this is going to increase our liability," and all of this other nonsense. And it's just bogus, right? But it just goes to show what kind of industry we are. There's 30,000 of us. We can't say, yes, let's check every outlet. That's a difficult call. With a $3 outlet tester, I could check every outlet in this room that's accessible, which is 3 of them. But I could do it in a matter of 35 seconds. Well, what's wrong with this picture? Why are we saying, let's get paid more? Let's go out and raise our rates. These are typical things inspectors say, but then they want to go back to the standards of 25 years ago and say, we've changed nothing, but we're owed more. It's nuts, right?
We need to be bringing more value to the transaction than what it looks like. That when you read the standards of practice, like you said, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that's ever fielded a call that said, what is the point of me getting a home inspection with all the stuff that's excluded in here? And then you actually go into what I'll actually inspect, and it exceeds the standards of practice, but I have to present them to you so you're aware of I'm in compliance with what our state requires. So I've had to explain to more than one person that, hey, I realize that you're a little put off by what the standards are. We're actually going to do this, which exceeds, but I have to let you know that I follow at a minimum this. And so once that gets presented to them, the light bulb goes off and they say, oh, okay, well, let's proceed then.
That's very interesting, the way that you put that, because for you personally, that's very true. It's, here's what I'm required to do. I'm disclosing what I'm required to do. But that's not exactly what inspection agreements say in reality. They say, here's all I'm going to do. Here's all I'm required to do. And I'm required to do nothing more. And if I miss $10,000 worth of stuff, or your house starts falling apart 10 minutes after I leave, you can have your inspection fee back. As if that's good enough.
Yeah. I kind of chuckle. There's a phone call that I remember, and I always reference this one because I really loved it when we talked about the rodents. I got a complaint phone call from a real estate agent about why I had mentioned that there was rodents and mice in the attic. And I didn't even make a big deal. I said, hey, I observed, some rodent droppings. I saw some trails, and I didn't see any treatment for it in your attic. I recommend that you treat for rodents in your attic. Just been doing it for a long time, hadn't given it a second thought. And then I get a phone call and a very angry person telling me that, hey, this isn't part of the standards of practice. Why are you reporting on this? Nobody else reports on this. That was my writer downer. When she said that to me, I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Let me write this down.
Wait, so it was an agent that said,
yes,
I
got a
you
complaint
found
call
this thing.
And reported on
was it a buyer or a listing agent?
It was the buyer's agent, because the people walked on the property because of that was one of the issues that they had walked on the property over.
Well, either way, let's say it was the only issue. So this is fascinating, and this is that bad side of real estate that we talk about sometimes in this industry, and I think it's also the exception and not the rule. Out of thousands and thousands of inspections that you've completed, how many times has a buyer's agent come to you and said, gosh, you found a problem, a material defect, you told my client about it and helped to protect them, screw you? How many times did that happen? Was that the only time or multiple?
I've gotten some other calls about defects in reports and things like that, but this is
but none like to this level where it's you shouldn't be reporting on this.
Very infrequently.
Very infrequently.
And it hasn't been for a while now, but I have fielded some calls over the way the verbiage was put in a report, and I've had to explain to them that, hey, this is in our standards of practice, or such as the mice and the rodents. I like to point out to them that if I was buying the home and I moved in and there was a bunch of rodents in there, and my inspector didn't tell me, I'd be upset.
Well, oh yeah, well, and that's one of the other things that's included in our advanced standards that, is one of the many reasons why you should look for a certified inspection expert that's delivering warranty coverage and all of this other stuff like you do, like you pay for to deliver to your clients. And you should be well rewarded in your market for that. And I think we're seeing that happen. So, but my point of that is that, 99 point something percent of the agents, don't call you and say, gosh, how dare you call out a defect for my buyer. 99 point something percent of agents say, find everything for my buyer. I don't want them to move in, find an unexpected problem, and be a nightmare for the both of us. They're there to protect their client. It's that 1% in every industry that can make us look bad. And this is the classic example. You're finding stuff that you're not required to find. I would rather pull the wool over my client's eyes, close the deal, get my commission check so I can pay for my kid's private school tuition. It's incredibly rare. It makes the industry look bad. And I think, to some extent, you'd probably be glad not to work with people like that. Is that a fair statement?
That is correct.
Right. Take that 1% off of your annual revenue and sleep better at night knowing that you're working with people of integrity. Yeah. I'm okay with that too. I really, every single night when I go to sleep, which is for about 3 hours, I will sleep really well if I did not lose a single client for an inspector that day. Like everything we do, all the things that we deliver to inspectors, we'll pay over $1 million in commissions just on home warranty sales to home inspectors, and they're well deserving of them. We'll pay out several $1 million this year in claims to clients of inspection companies like yours who moved in, unforeseen circumstances, something breaks, something leaks, something doesn't turn on anymore, and we get to make somebody happy. That all feels good, but I can still go home and if there was a rub between an inspector and an agent for whatever reason, this 1%, I can feel bad about that. I don't feel bad about losing those ones. I think that's okay. I don't want clients to experience that. I would rather those agents just simply not exist, disappear tomorrow. That would be ideal. But what kind of business are we if we're not delivering for our clients? We can't point our finger at that 1% and not look introspectively at guys like William who go online and say, no, I want a standard that covers my ass. I'm not here to protect the client. I'm not here to find defects for the client. I'm certainly not here to find defects that I don't have to, absolutely, in order to not be below the legal standard. I don't want any of that. I'm here to cover my own ass. Now pay me money. I mean, it's ludicrous.
I ran into a local competitor down there a while back before I started doing this. I started my YouTube channel a couple years ago. And on my YouTube channel, I talk about different defects on the spot. And then also as an added value for our clients, when we can't attend, we'll do like a video review and send it to them, a slideshow of all the photos I took. And then you get your report within 24 hours. He said I was insane and I was opening myself up to liability. And I shut my mouth and kept my mouth shut, went home and sat down, had dinner with my wife and said to her, would you sue me for doing more than what you expect me to do for you?
Generally, people won't. In fact, we do a lot of consulting for franchises, for insurance companies, for everybody in the home inspection and real estate industry that has that risk basis of property condition issues. We're kind of the go-to. We have Michael Casey, our Director of Education at Home Inspection University. He's doing consulting on this stuff. We have our E&O deductible protection. So any agent who uses an inspection company that works with us and our warranties, we cover their E&O deductible up to $5,000. We cover inspectors' E&O deductibles because we know that 90% of all issues that are litigated in real estate are property condition related. Well, we write our warranty policies, our risk management policies in order to reduce that risk as much as possible. We're just putting our money where our mouth is. So anyway, we end up getting involved in all this stuff. And I was on a call the other day with a franchise group, and they said, we'd like to know where the most liability is coming from. And when inspectors ask me that, or when groups of inspectors ask me that, or even the insurance companies, what they're wanting is for me to put something in a box and say, gosh, roof leaks are really causing a lot of our pains for where they are. I mean, liability is virtually nothing in this industry. It's one of the lowest liability industries in the world's history. We make it big, but it's virtually nothing. That's why you can get E&O insurance for $1,600. If the liability was high, it would have a larger bill than that. That's like half of a single house payment for most. With that being said, I always have the same answer for them. It's not a particular category. It's that someone had damages, they were unforeseen, or they couldn't have been avoided in their mind, and there's no coverage for them. The minute you have those three things aligning, all you then have to have is a big enough number, and they're coming after you. This week alone, I've had 2 roof issues that I've assisted in responses to. One was for $20,000, one was for $30,000. Neither one of them are the inspector's issue. One of them is going to go away very quickly because we got to them before the roof was replaced. They sent that lawyer letter that said, time is of the essence. We're gonna just go with this roofer's bid because he told us the only option is to replace. That one we'll get rid of. I'm about 1,000% confident in that one. The second one, it's a coin toss because he got a notification after they spent 20 grand on a new roof. So what do they have? They're out 20 grand. No, nothing else matters now.